Welcome to a special news report from NGPR concerning the recent alarming events at the Untempered Schism and the attack on Commander Deimos. We must warn our viewers that some of the footage you are about to see may prove disturbing. First, we have a report from our correspondent, Garnet Psaltery, who was present at the events. So, Garnet, you were present at the events at the Untempered Schism. Can you tell us what happened?
We were all gathered to see Lord Deimos being installed as the commander of the CIA, and we were gathered around the Untempered Schism. Whose decision that was, I have no idea. He was standing pretty much alone in front of it, and Lady Judy was facing him, but at a little bit of distance, and the rest of us gathered around in a semicircle. And while the ceremony was taking place, the schism itself, the eye in the centre, appeared to open, and this giant monster came through. It was like the form of a human man with huge spider legs, and this came forward and attacked Lord Deimos, ripped off his arms and legs, and I believe it caused him some other injuries. Those were certainly severe. And at this point, the Jinn appeared in his TTC and commanded the creature, which we recognized then as the abbot. He commanded it as though it were a pet, and it obeyed. Eventually it stopped attacking, and the Jinn sent it back through the schism. Deimos, of course, was in a terrible state by then and was immediately taken to Zenobia Station. There was talk of trying to help him along by giving him regenerative powers from one or two of the Time Lords, but it was thought too risky. So, as I say, all they could do was take him to Zenobia and put him in the Zero Room and treat him. And quite a number of us went along to see that this took place and to stand and wait and try to get news. But it was a very, very bad situation, and as far as I know, he's still recuperating.
We also discussed what occurred with the Lord President of the High Council, Lord Sen. Lord President, can you tell me exactly what happened at the Untempered Schism?
Well, I'd like to say things went basically to plan, but whenever the CIA is involved, I suppose not even I always know the entire plan. Coordinator Deimos wanted to use himself as bait to lure out the abbot. We had a suspicion that the abbot had fed, I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but that the abbot had consumed part of Deimos in their previous encounter, and that he would basically come back for more. That obviously proved to be true, although what was unplanned was just how powerful the abbot had become. We thought he would be much easier to contain than he was, obviously.
So what happened when you were there?
He drew out the abbot, and instantly the abbot attacked Deimos. Deimos had planned for this and had Dalek weaponry equipped with temporal prison emitters in the hands of the Chancellery Guard. We all assumed that a temporal prison would contain a TTC. What we hadn't anticipated was the extent to which the abbot has become organic. Yes, we know TARDISes are alive. They are living beings, but they're not flesh and blood like you and I. So, the exterior of the abbot, what's normally a plasmic shell of a TARDIS, now seems to be, partially anyway, living, breathing Time Lord, which of course couldn't care less about a temporal prison, which he promptly stepped right out of and began consuming more of the abbot. This is where things get a little bit strange, because according to the reports from Lady Judy and Deimos himself, the Jinn arrived at this point. There's a lot we don't know about him, but it seems as though the Jinn commanded the abbot to step into the untempered schism. The assumption by us is that he was imprisoned. Why and how he was taking verbal commands from the Jinn, we still don't understand. And we also still don't understand exactly where or when the abbot went or is imprisoned. I wish I knew more.
In your opinion, does the abbot still pose a threat to us?
Absolutely. There isn't a prison ever devised that could contain a TARDIS. We've tried. The Daleks have tried. But some always manage to escape. Obviously, none of us would be here. Myself, your TTC, Safia, we've all found a way to break the prison imposed by Elon himself in the last day, and numerous weaponry and attacks by the Daleks and the Time War, and yet we're all still here, so we are all living proof that any prison devised probably won't hold the abbot for very long. He is an extreme threat.
Does the Jinn pose a threat?
Well, if you ask certain members of the High Council and their chapters, they would give you an unresounding yes. I'm not convinced. The Jinn showed up pretty quickly when things went south, and seemed to take pretty quick command of the situation. He was ordering about Time Lords and guards. I've watched the video of the incident, and he was calm, authoritative, and seemed to have complete control over the abbot. Not in a technological sense, but certainly in a almost like a master and his pet. If the Jinn had wanted to attack or damage New Gallifrey, I'll be honest, we were not prepared for what happened. The abbot probably could have run rapid across the surface of the planet, especially with the Jinn commanding him. I find it difficult to believe that the Jinn has long-term detrimental intentions towards us, given what happened that day.
How is Coordinator Deimos?
Physically or mentally?
I understand that the physical effects were considerable, as were the psychological, I imagine.
We have concerns about both. The abbot attempted to consume him, and by consume I mean integrate Deimos into the exterior form of the TTC known as the abbot. It appears as though that the abbot doesn't have a intelligent consciousness of his own. He appears primal and almost animalistic, which leads me to believe that before and after this incident, Deimos is intact and healthy mentally. Physically, we wondered why he didn't regenerate after the first incident with the abbot. Now we know. He is tied temporally and physically to the abbot. We cannot let him regenerate. We have no idea what that would do. So for now, his current incarnation, or what's left of it, is being kept alive. He is healing. We are utilizing all of the technology at our disposal, which, for Time Lords, it's considerable, to give him a functioning physical body so that he can continue in his job as coordinator.
That sounds a fairly precarious situation.
We're in something of uncharted waters here. I realized recently that our medical science has gotten somewhat lazy. We seem to take for granted the fact that when one of our bodies becomes severely injured or diseased, we give up on it very easily and simply let ourselves regenerate. It strikes me that apparently we don't put forth enough effort to actually save an incarnation, which now, of course, we're forced to do. It is pretty miraculous in a pinch what we can accomplish. Most races would have assumed that Deimos was dead, but he's not. He was barking orders to his personnel from his hospital bed with not very much left of him.
Stay tuned to NGPR, your source for news in New Gallifrey, Oliesti and beyond.